I've given myself one season to rebuild Everton in today's video, and with the roller coaster that was Everton's year last season, we have got ourselves an extra little challenge. I cannot buy players for transfer fees. I can only sign players on free transfers, and also I can loan in players. This is because of those PSR issues, the points deductions, and that stadium move that Everton are still awaiting at this very moment. We're going to try and be financially sensible, which, if you know me, doesn't come too easily. It's going to be a challenge. We're going to see if we can make Everton really good, but without signing anybody for a transfer fee. Come on. Okay, so the first thing to say is that we are using an up-to-date real-life database in today's video. There's one result that is slightly different, actually. But Everton are 15th, or have finished 15th in the season, although they did get 40 points in real life. They've got 42. I wonder if that was the extra. Did they get an extra 2 points deduction? I think that might be it in here, isn't it? It is as up-to-date as we could possibly make it, though. So we are starting from a real-life starting point. This is going to be their next summer. Again, I'm going to just clarify, this is not necessarily going to be realistic. However, this is the approach that I'm going to take. I'm trying to make Everton as good as I can, but without signing anybody for a transfer fee. Free transfers are fine. Loans are fine. I can pay loan fees as well, just to start off. But also, because of the financial situation I've given myself, which is that we have no transfer budget, we have a massive wage budget issue that we are going to need to sort out, and also, finance-wise, we don't really have any money. I am going to accept any bids that might come in for players like Dominic Calvert-Lewin, or anyone really who has any value over here. Nathan Patterson is valued at 50 to 55 million pounds. I mean, there might be somebody that I try. Why is he valued so highly? Especially more than like Branthwaite and Onana. Anyway, we'll see what happens in this transfer window. That's where we're going to start. We're going to see if we can improve this squad, which is a very Sean Dyche squad. It's very solid. Doesn't score many goals. That's going to be, I think, issue number one. They had a really good defensive record. If I have a look at this Premier League table, which is as about as up to date as we can make it, you can kind of get an idea of that. They had a negative goal difference, but if you go to the whole thing here, goals conceded wise, they've conceded 51, which is less than, I mean, it's less than lots of these, it's less than Villa, who finished obviously fourth. That's a good defensive record. So that's the position of strength we're going to build from. But we need to find a way for this team to start scoring some goals. So I'm going to go into the transfer window. I'm going to do some wheeling and dealing. And then I'm going to let you know what I've been up to and see what free transfers are out there. See what loans we can maybe bring in. Let's build a team ready to start this season. Come on. Just a really, really quick one. Please subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much. Let's go. Okay, wheeling and dealing is done. And this is the squad that I have built. I've created this 4-2-2 Sean Dyche system that has a defensive midfielder and a Segundo Volante, but it's for all intents and purposes a 4-4-2. It's the Dyche. It's the tactical style of gravel. It's ready to go and take the Premier League by storm with some nice little reinforcements, I think. Obviously, with the restrictions that we put in place, there weren't amazing players that we could bring in. And also, we did need to sell players before we could bring players in too, because of the wage budget issue that we had. But this is what we've managed to do. Goalkeeper is Cohen Casteels. You might be thinking, where is Jordan Pickford? Well, let me go to the transfer history here. Well, Jordan Pickford was the first player that was moved on at the, well, it's before, well, the end of June here. Arsenal have picked him up for 35 million, rising to 40 million. It was a good enough deal that with the challenge that I've put in place myself, couldn't really say no to it. So he's gone off to go and become Arsenal's #1 goalkeeper. It gave us, though, a little bit of money that we could use into the wage budget. I moved those sliders across to give us a wage budget. And if I show you right now, actually, on here, we've got loads of wage budget left over, as well as some transfer budget, even with the players that I have managed to bring in. So to go and replace him, we brought in Cohen Casteels on a free transfer. He's a former Wolfsburg goalkeeper, played a lot of games for Wolfsburg over the course of about 10 years. Look, he was their first choice goalkeeper. Going on a free this summer. He's 32. Bit of a stopgap, but he's 6'6", great jumping reach, ticks boxes for me, great reflexes, by the way. Don't really understand why, but it is the attribute that I look for most in a goalkeeper. They seem to be, obviously, if they're big and tall, great aerial reach and jumping reach, and their eccentricity is quite low. If they have high reflexes, they'll do for me. That kind of is the way that I look for them. So I think Casteels will be solid, hopefully solid enough for us to get what we're aiming for here. Mid-table, European qualification. FM is FM. We know this, right? You can always aim a little bit higher than you might think is realistic. Although saying that, some of these players that we brought in are Are they top quality? I'm not quite sure. Let's, though, have a look at this squad again and come back to the signings. Right back, Nathan Patterson, the world's most valuable right back, or there or thereabouts, is going to be our starting right back. Left back is going to be Mikolenko. We've kept those things the same. In fact, the back four is completely the same. Branthwaite and Tarkowski. Like I said, this is our position of strength. This is our area of strength, I should say, where we are building from here. The defence was never an issue. As long as we can replace Pickford, which I think we've done okay with, I think we'll be okay. So let's move into the midfield as we have Wilfred Ndidi. He's not usually an Everton player, is he? He's going to play as a defensive midfielder. Really thought Ndidi would go and have more of a career. He looked really, really solid at the start when he was playing for Leicester in that Premier League. He looked like a serious player. I think he had links with big teams, Manchester United, Liverpool, I seem to remember. Then obviously Leicester got relegated. He's playing in the Championship. I picked him up on a free here because I think in Football Manager, maybe specifically, maybe he's got a bit more to offer in real life, to be honest. I think he can be solid in our defensive midfield. He's going to be a replacement for, you might be wondering, Amadou Onana, who we sold for huge money. I got a bid of £45.5 million from West Ham, and I couldn't really say no to that. It's a great signing for West Ham, I will say that. But we needed to, I told myself we need to accept bids if they come in. 45 million is too much to say no to. So he's gone. And just whilst we're here, I might as well just show you straight away. Ben Godfrey did also move on for £7 million. Might be a little bit low. I'm wondering if this one might be a mistake. I will hold my hands up for that one. Hopefully, we won't regret it. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin for £32.5 million. He's gone to Saudi Arabia with Al Rayed, who will be very happy to have him up front. We also have Luka Modric, who has signed on a free transfer from Real Madrid at this stage. So Modric to Calvert-Lewin is going to be happening in that Saudi league this year. Neil Maupay also went, and then a couple of lower level transfers out. That is our sales. So let's go back to the squad as I can show you who has replaced those players. So Amadou Onana out and Ndidi in. Josh Brownhill in on a free. I think this is a really nice little signing. He is solid. Burnley midfielder, played in the Premier League last year. They got relegated. Let's pick him up on a free. Reunite him with Dyche, although we're now Dyche at the moment. But you know what I mean. He is a solid footballer, Josh Brownhill. He's going to play in the midfield. Might take on this Segundo Volante role. There are a few others that could do it too. Doucouré could come in and do that. We've got Pablo Fornals in on loan. He is another one to show you. Might use him out wide rather than in that midfield, but could go and do that. And even like James Garner could maybe come in and do one of these roles in this midfield. Wide right is going to be McNeil, cutting in from the right-hand side on his left foot. Obviously an Everton player at the moment. And then on the left, don't think this is a realistic one. I'm not sure he's got a Premier League career ahead of him. Does Daniel Podence, the pocket rocket, after moving to Olympiacos from Wolves. He ended up back at Wolves after that loan had ended. So we've picked him up on a loan for way too much money. Again, I'll hold my hands up and say this one because I couldn't buy players. I had to pay a lot for certain loans that I wanted. I needed a left winger or a right-footed left midfielder, and he kind of was the best one in terms of the attributes. He's got good attributes in the right places. He's just kind of lacking in other areas. Like there's a lot of single-figure attributes in his makeup here. Jumping reach of 3, and a strength of 5. He is little, which I don't know if that's going to be a problem. Hopefully not. He's going to play left mid for us, and then the strike force is going to be Beto. Used to be so good in FM. I think he's still probably good in Football Manager. Struggled a little bit in real life, but in terms of playing the game, this guy is everything you need. He's tall, fast and strong. He'll score goals for us. Alongside another one who kind of fits that bill similarly, except maybe without the height, but used to be, again, really good in Football Manager. When you could sign him from, was it from Portugal? From Norway? I think it was from Molde, wasn't it? Before he made this Chelsea move, you used to be able to pick up Datro Fofana and he would just bag loads of goals, and he was about 5 million to sign. So I'm hoping we can rekindle those days. He's in on loan from Chelsea for £1.5 million. Another Burnley link to this Everton team, which seems to be the route that we're going down. Just to go through the bench here, we've got Virginia backup keeper, Michael Keane. We've brought in Attila Salzai to come in and be a backup centre-back, left-sided, could also play left-back if we needed him to. He's big and tall, which is always helpful. Seamus Coleman's still here. Ashley Young is still here, against all odds at 39 years old. We've also got Doucouré, as I mentioned. Garner, we mentioned. Pablo Fornals, I think this is a tidy little pickup on loan from Real Betis. £1 million we're going to pay for his loan. Just can cover a lot of positions. Centre mid, left mid, maybe even right mid if we really need him to. I think he can just be a useful option. And then this person here, Hugo Ekitike. I think could easily be a starter by the end of the season if Fofana or Beto aren't scoring the goals. Really good young French prospect at PSG, was on loan at Frankfurt last year, where he did quite well, look, and score some goals in terms of, at least in this record here. We've brought him to the Premier League. He's going to be a good option off the bench, alongside the final one that we signed, which was Martin Satriano on loan from Inter. Another youngster, 23 years old, another just good option. He's 6'2". We just needed a little bit of cover there, so he's come in. Chimiti's still here too. Might end up selling him because he is wanted at the moment. If we get a good bid, as I said, I'm going to be selling people if we need to. This is the system. This is the approach. That is the transfer business. Let me know what you think of that transfer business. I think we've done an okay job. I think January, we're going to get 2 windows, of course, the summer window and then January if we need it. We do have a little bit of leftover budget. A little bit in, quite a lot in terms of wages, which could be useful for any of those free transfers that might be available by then from maybe like the Brazilian leagues and things, which their contracts run out in December, don't they? So we'll keep an eye on that. Also loans, though. The wage budget's really good for bringing in those loan players. If we need them, that's what we'll be doing. Don't really know what we're aiming for here. In terms of the season preview, we are predicted to finish 18th. So FM doesn't think we're amazing. Zinedine Zidane is at Liverpool. That's fun, is it? And also Unai Emery has gone to Newcastle from Aston Villa, which is horrible to Aston Villa that you've done that, Unai. I think we're aiming for higher than this. Mid-table, pushing for Europe is kind of where my head is at, but we'll see how those things go. We'll see how this 4-4-2 Dyche, or 4-2-2, I should say, Dyche system works. I'm going to go all the way up to January now, and I'll see you then, and we'll talk about whether we need to do any more transfers. So see you at the end of December, start of January. Let's do this. So here we are then in January, the 6th of January, I should say, 2025. And I'm going to be honest with you, we are flying. I mentioned how I was aiming for mid-table, maybe pushing towards Europe. Well, at this stage here, about halfway through, we've played 21 games. So we're actually over halfway through. We're 5th. We are 4 points off the Champions League places. You could also say that we are, joint points with 7th here, but we are well away. We're in the European spots and then some. 7 points clear of 8th place, Aston Villa. Manchester United are 10th, by the way. Leicester having come up are bottom of the league. Then it's Forest, then it's Ipswich. In this universe, Leeds have come up rather than Southampton, and they're 11th and doing very well. We're 5th. We're having a lovely, lovely season. Goals-wise, have a look at this in terms of the player stats on here too. Fofana's got 11, just behind Salah. Beto's got 10. The best player is Mo Salah, but then it's Beto as the with a 7.37 average rating, and then Josh Brownhill's got 9 assists from his midfield spot. The one thing that I'm going to say to you is we're really struggling with injuries. This system, this 4-2-2 Dyche system, is really, really intense, and the squad that we've got, even with some of the loan signings to bring in as backups, we're still picking up loads of injuries, some really bad ones. In fact, Wilfred Ndidi, I thought it was a really smart signing. I was really happy with it. And then after one game in the Premier League, we played against Crystal Palace at home. And we won 2-0 in this game. But let's just check. In like the 16th minute or something really silly. In the 54th minute, Wilfred Ndidi went down with an injury. And that injury has turned out to be, I'll show you here. He's basically done his ACL. He's been out for 5 months already. He's got another 3 months to go. He's going to be out for basically the season, having signed him in the summer. So that's been a problem. Did look to try and bring in another central midfielder. There wasn't loads about. So Doucouré's played a lot of games as a defensive midfielder. He's actually played loads of games in real life as more of a number 10. So he's very versatile. He's done a good job for us. He's actually had his own injury problems. He's just back from that. Other issues that we've got are Salzai's out with an injury. James Garner's out. He's been out for a while with a hip injury. He's got another 2 months or so to go. Beto is currently out. He's got ankle ligament problems. Chimiti's out with, he's just got a virus at the moment. And then James Garner, I didn't look. It was Ndidi. I didn't look at. And we know about Ndidi. We've had real injury problems. We're also really tired a lot of the time. We're kind of patching things up, trying to hold things together. I did bring in one extra player. That was Samuel Illing on loan from Juventus. He's an Englishman playing for Juventus. Big future ahead of him. He's made his first team debut for Juventus over there. So I think he's 21 now. He's 21 at this stage. Just as an option to play on this left-hand side or this right-hand side inverted, just because we needed numbers. I might go and look in this January window with the money that we've still got for another central midfielder. I think Brownhill and Doucouré, I think we can upgrade a little bit here, despite them both doing pretty well. I just think maybe we can upgrade there. In terms of the stats on the other players, though, Beto's got 10 goals, 15 goals for Datro Fofana in all competitions. Brownhill, we saw with the assists, has got 10 assists, 4 apiece for Garner and Beto with assists, 6 assists from Samuel Illing, who's played a lot of games actually since coming in, probably starting more games than I think it's Podence that he's maybe starting over on this left-hand side here. So just as an update on the team there. You can see the appearances to see who's playing the most here. Ekatike is in at the moment because of the injury to Beto, but he's a backup. Has got 6 goals in his 5 starts, though. Lots of sub appearances from him. Just to show you the results as well and how we're doing in the different cup competitions, we've had some great days, amazing days. We beat Ipswich, newly promoted Ipswich, 7-1. We had 24 shots. You can see the team. There is Illing playing on this left-hand side, as I mentioned. Beto scored a hat-trick inside 20 minutes. Then Illing, McNeil, Fofana and Ekatike with a late one towards the end. 7-1 victory. The only games that we're really losing are against teams that maybe just have a little bit more quality than us. We lost to City away from home. We lost to Spurs at home. Brennan Johnson with 2 goals in that one. We lost to Brighton at home, maybe a bit disappointing, but they are a good team. We beat Forest 6-1. They are in the bottom 3. We're still in the League Cup. We're into the semi-final. We've got 2 legs to play against Brentford. We're still in the FA Cup. We played 1 round. It was Sunderland from the Championship. We beat them 2-1 with 2 late goals actually coming back into that. Although actually their goal was late too. We've got cups to play for, European qualification to go for. The team is in a good spot in terms of performances. It's just whether we can keep things patched together and we don't fall apart because of injuries. We've got 5 at the moment, 5.5 if you want to count Doucouré. I just want to see if we can see this through. I might go and do some other loan signings or free transfer signings in this window. But I will see you at the end of the season to find out how we've managed to do in this Everton rebuild. So far, I'm very impressed with what we've managed to do. So far, so good. I'll see you in May. Come on. And here we are then at the end of the season. I'm starting on this squad screen here because I wanted to show you that despite looking for new midfielders in the loan market and on the free transfer market in January, I didn't actually end up bringing anybody else in. The squad looks pretty much how it looked at the start of the season with just Illing as the extra man who came in on this left-hand side. Indeed, he's back from his ACL injury. He's played 4 times, well, 2 more times since returning from that injury. He's got 8 appearances in total. Look, he is back in the squad and he came in right at the end of the season with some important matches to play. All of it though, the whole effort together with goals being scored aplenty by Datro Fofana, 31 in 40, 21 for Beto, 11 assists for Illing with 8 goals, 10 and 10 for Dwight McNeil, not to be sniffed at that. Josh Brown got 13 assists, Mikolenko got 13 assists, 9 for Nathan Patterson. Lots of our creation coming down the flanks with these 2 strikers in there, both of them pretty good in the air. It was a very solid plan, a simple plan, and it's been a plan that has worked. In the Premier League, we were relegation candidates at the start of the season, but we have finished 6th. We've qualified for the Europa League. It's kind of where it's like the top level of where I was hoping to be. My expectations were mid-table, aiming for Europe. We've managed to achieve that Europe. Not quite good enough for Champions League. We're only, though, 6 points off the Champions League spots, look, with Arsenal and City both on 74. Liverpool have won the league. They were brilliant this year. Remember how brilliant they were because I'm going to show you something in a second. But 6th in the league with 20 wins, 8 draws, 10 defeats. There's the teams that we lost to. A big loss to West Ham was kind of the only real dodgy one, to be honest. And then we lost 6-1 to them. But other losses like really close away losses to Wolves and Spurs. An away loss at Anfield. We lost 4-2 to United. We lost to City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs. Like, those are games you'd expect to lose. In the wins, though, have a look at some of these ones. There's a 6-1 win against Forest that we saw before. 4-0, 4-0, 3-0 against Leeds in there. We were a very good football team. Top goal scorer in the league was Datro Fofana with 22. Top average rating was Beto with a 7.3. Third in the assists was, our top average rating. Third in the top average rating list. Third in the assists was Josh Brownhill. And Beto got 7 Player of the Match awards, which is very, very good. Daniel Podence got 13 yellow cards, and he didn't even start that many games, which is brilliant from Podence. Very strange. Strange player is Daniel Podence. Cannot tackle, it seems. I want to show you here, though, some of these results. And I told you to remember how good Liverpool were. We saw this first half of the season. Into the second half, we had this 2 legs against Brentford in the League Cup semi-final. We won 4-1 and 1-0, taking us through to a League Cup final where we played Liverpool. the Liverpool, Merseyside rivals Liverpool, where this happened. I'm just going to load up all the goals because what a final this was at Wembley. Not sure we deserved it, but after extra, I look at the defensive performance there. All of our defenders and the goalkeeper on a 7+ rating. It was magical. And this is how it went because the scenes of this, by the way. Early on, 1-0 to Liverpool. Virgil van Dijk at the back post from a set piece from Szoboszlai. Then before half time, Liverpool were cruising. Szoboszlai feeds it through to Diogo Jota. 2-0 down at half-time. You are thinking at this stage, we might well be dead and buried. But then, Fofana on 83. 7 minutes to go, a lifeline. And then we just flooded men forward into added time. It's the 90th minute. It's stoppage time here. Dwight McNeil beats Quaveen Kelleher in the goal. 2-2. We're going to extra time. And we've already created a madness before heartbreak. Mo Salah scores. Castile's not great there. Maybe Jordan Pickford would have saved that with his tiny little arms. Who knows? We are 3-2 down in extra time before Ekitike gets it to the byline, pulls it back to Seamus Coleman, to Garner. James Garner in off the keeper, off the post or the bar. That's 3-3. And then we just made the magic continue. Coleman into Ekitike, off the bar again. 4-3 with a minute to go. That was the goal that won it. But then this was the goal that clinched it. Ashley Young still playing at 40 to Seamus Coleman still playing at about 63. 5-3. Everton have won a trophy. The first one since 1995. It was the League Cup against Liverpool. It was perfect. It was fairy tale. And to be honest, it didn't matter where we finished in the league after this because we'd achieved a madness. A Wembley final, a Wembley trophy. And then we still had the chance to go and qualify for Europe and also an FA Cup run to go and continue. The FA Cup run was good. We beat Preston in the 4th round. That was after the first one that we saw, which was Sunderland. Preston in the 4th round. Blackburn in the 5th round. Fulham we beat in the quarterfinal. Then in the semi-final, back to Wembley. Almost made the magic happen again, but not quite. We were 2-0 up ourselves in this one. Then Pap Sarr scored twice. Pedro Porro, we got an equaliser here with Fofana, and then they got in extra time. They scored first with Lo Celso. Ashley Young scored. I mean, Ashley Young is literally 39. About next month or the next, 2 months from now, is turning 40 years old. He scored in the 102nd minute, but Heung-min Son before penalties, literally last kick of the game, added time of extra time. Heung-min Son took them to the final. I'll just show you actually who won. They haven't played that final yet. They're against Manchester City, so maybe they'll go and win a trophy. That'll be a real weird one, wouldn't it? If suddenly Everton and Spurs are winning trophies in the same season. We then could concentrate on the league after this. We got some good results. We lost to Wolves, but beating Leicester and Brighton in the last couple of games of the season. Fofana with a hat-trick against Leicester gave us this 6th place finish into the Europa League for next year. We were already in that because we won the League Cup anyway. It's a brilliant season, a brilliant rebuild, slightly above where my expectations were for it. Especially impressive, I think, because we didn't spend any transfer fees. This money spent is all on loan fees, and yes, we may have overspent on some of these. Podence especially. Illing was 3.3 million himself, but these can go off now. Those wages get taken back off. We've raised a lot of money because actually there's there's 124 million pounds being raised just from sales here. We've put the club back on a good solid ground in terms of budget. We've got budget to go and spend next summer. From this point on, the world is your oyster in this Everton save. So maybe you could go and have fun with it if you wanted to. If you want this save file, the place to get all of my save files. If you want anything like you want the view that I use, if you want the set piece tactics, anything like that, if you are a Claytreon member, I strongly just urge you, if you want anything that you see in a video, just to message me on Patreon. That's kind of part of the perks of being a Claytreon member and supporting me on that platform over there. It really, really is helpful. It's just to show extra support, but I can give you any save files or anything like that. Just ask me, message me. Happy to send them all over. If you want to go and do that, if you want to go and support on Patreon, the link to that is in the description of today's video as well. But we'll leave it there today. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know who you want to see next. Do you want to see a different team being rebuilt? Forest or something? I don't know why Forest just came to my mind, but they did. Maybe one of the promoted teams. How well can we do with the newly promoted Southampton or Ipswich or Leicester? Those are the three. Let me know. But most importantly, have a lovely rest of your day. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.